Thrand here, and we're back with the Pilum, or Pila as promised. What we're going to do today is we're going to test it to see if the accounts of it being used in melee, and how a lot of experimental archaeologists have done the same test we have, because they've actually done some research on it. They used the same thing we did. They used actual iron shafts. They've used mild steel, which is very close to iron, and the same dimensions and size. They don't bend that easy, just like we had. We only had a few bends, but it didn't seem to be the primary focus of the actual Pila was to bend. They existed for over 1,200 years, 2,300 years of accounts of them, all the way up to the Plausible, where they started to fall out of use. But we have accounts of Marcus Antonius and the Parthian campaign, where he actually used them as spears. We also have accounts of the Siege of Alesia, and they were used as spears or melee weapons. One of the things about it is there's an argument about the actual, this is a hand grip, here to protect the hand, so you could use it like a gladius. One of the things I feel about that is most of the links, since the front is metal, this brings the balance of the actual spear to where you have very little sticking out, which is great for a scutum or a formation. You don't want a lot sticking out in the front. You want to be able to use it like a gladius or something with a shorter reach. This would be Bronze Age Ewart Park, which is very similar to the length of a gladius. That's why I've got it out here now, because it is a gladius. And it's a bigger, broader blade, much like a spatha type blade, even though this is a leaf-shaped blade used on that type of combat for larger wounds. This here is a iron style sword. We did this when we had our Spartan video, and this was used to test an iron sword or a mild steel sword. See what kind of damage it would do with that length if it was designed to cut with and thrust with a big broad blade. So these are both examples of lengths of blades, and if you hold it up to compare it, there's very little difference. A few inches does make a difference, but there's very little difference, and the wound's much smaller. If you were just going to hold it by the grip, you wouldn't have enough reach to actually help against cavalry or anybody who, in my opinion, is using spears themselves. So what we believe is that, honestly, they're using it with the scutum. There's no reason why you couldn't use the slide technique to reach out. I also don't believe it would behave very much differently underarm if you were able to do it with the scutum. And I don't believe that it would be a bad thing to do with maybe two hands as well. Maybe it could have been used two-handed. I don't think they would bend easily. We're going to do some tests to prove whether they bend easily or not, and how well they work as actual spears. Today we want to thank the people who let us borrow these. Actually, Adrian Watson made these for us and we mounted them, our smaller shafted ones. And then we have a scutum that is pretty much actual size to our historical remaining one that we have. So it's fairly close. It's a hair taller. It's about actual weight. We have an extra scutum over here that was long, just a smaller size. And I'm going to talk about shield walls and how the scutum was used with the gladius, just to cover it real fast. To the best of our knowledge, a lot of times they say they thrust it by opening it up slightly, this way. They also speak of possibly there's a technique where they'd be covered up and they would thrust out to the right on a given command. I could see this working really well against lightly armored or small shielded opponents. But against another scutum like this, the only thing I really see opening is stuff that the Romans themselves had covered by their helmet and by the extra reinforcements on the larica hamada that was used most commonly. But that is where you would attack. You would attack over the top. You thrust over the top. That's what would happen when you had an opening. You try to thrust here in that kind of situation if you were using the gladius. It has some reach, but not very much. You're going to be up in each other's faces. There's not a lot of difference in reach in the actual Pila if it's used as a spear, unless you exploit that somehow one-handed. So what we're going to talk about now is with the actual Pilum, not much more reach, a little bit easier over the top, more armor piercing, but what if I want to exploit the reach? The overarm slide, the same technique you would use for throwing technically, but not losing the weapon, or this type of motion, and then throwing it out would give you that reach to actually reach out and get your opponent. So what I'm trying to say is that would probably be the only way one-handed to exploit this. If you tried using it underarm like the gladius, you'd have this problem. Your men are behind you, you have a long protrusion in the back. The sharp shaft in the front is actually good because it can be hidden behind your scutum. So that's great. You don't have anything sticking out. But I think that honestly they would have utilized the technique. So let's go ahead and try that out. I'll start with the lighter one.
Yeah.
What we have there is a penetration through 12 layers of really tough material, which could have been worn back then, into a very difficult to pierce hard mannequin made out of fiberglass. Now it does make it a little easier for it to cut through the fibers with a smaller head. Even with a very light pilum, it was still able to pierce that. I have no doubt if we had a softer backing like ballistic gelatin or something, we would have gone deeper into it. This is just a very difficult thing to pierce. We just decided to go with it as an effigy just to test it out. I'm sorry, I'm impressed. This is an extremely light pilum. Alright, this pilum did the best for throwing. This has the armor-piercing tip, the pyramidical or the four-sided tip that comes to a point that you saw us use on the shield. It's harder to get out. I'm just thinking this one's probably not what would be used for this style of combat. I mean, they may have used this if they had to, but I don't think this was the type that was used for this type of combat. But we'll go ahead and try it out, see what it does. I'm going to try it on this medium weight gambeson and see if it'll penetrate and how well. Oh. Apparently it bounced. We've got a very hard target behind it. And we have some piercing in the cloth, but I don't think it's able to cut through the cloth at all, so it's not able to make it through with the shape. And just so they say we didn't try it, we're going to try utilizing it in this position and just thrusting into it. I'm really thinking with the bounce and give of this Pila, pilum, it's probably not going to work, but we'll try anyway. No. It's not able to go through any better than it was when it was in the prone position. Try one more time. A little more push, but it's not able to go through the fabric. It's the shape. That's what's stopping it. And how hard a target we have behind it. It might do much better if we were hitting ballistic skeleton or something like flesh. All right, we're going to go ahead and try this one out. This is a leaf shape. I honestly think this one will be a lot more effective. Earlier pilum appeared to be leaf shaped, and I think it'd be a much better spear or used in this method. Let's go ahead and try it out. Ooh. Now, if you look at our penetration here, that is extreme. Through all those layers of heavy gambeson and claw, we actually made it that deep. And the very tough shell of the mannequin. Combined together, I mean, I know it's not a true fair test for our gambeson because it would normally have give, which make it more difficult. But the how hard she actually is makes a difference as well. So, I mean, combine that together, that's a pretty fair test. I'm impressed. Not bad at all. It went in, but not as deep. Although it could be used that way, it didn't dare. You got it right here. It only went in yay so far, though not quite as impressive a penetration. Oh! That was the heavy pilum. We went all the way through and out the back side of it. That is extreme. It's against the back of our mannequin. So yes, heavier is much better for the overarm slide. That throwing slide technique for this type of technique, it makes it so much easier to penetrate, accelerating the actual weapon when it has some mass to it. It's beautiful. All right, I'm going to go ahead and try that again because that was very impressive. This pilum actually performed the best for this type of idea. Let's try it one more time and see how well it performs. Yeah, this is definitely the best pilum for this type of technique. The extra weight makes it a lot like a dory or a doru. And yeah, that is all the way through. We're off the back side. It's actually sticking through the back side. Kind of hard to see from here. It actually hit our tree backing, our wooden backing. Well, all right. I am extremely impressed. This is very impressive. And as for this one bending, I don't think that's going to happen. It's not going to happen. Even with one this size, this type of shaft, it's not going to bend easily. Even if someone hit it with their gladius or another weapon, I don't think they're going to bend it if you're using it as a weapon like that. The earlier period Pilum were heavier in general and had the broader leaf-shaped blade. This may be why. Maybe it was carried down of like having a spear for the Legion, and they probably used it more spear-like at times, especially the heavy one. I'm sure they would have. This was very impressive with the overarm throwing slide because the amount of weight behind it made it like a doru or a dory, allowing it to have massive armor penetration. You don't know how hard this target is, and then with the actual layers of cloth over that is extremely impressive. I am very, very impressed. So anyway, to bring it into it, I think the lighter Pilum were probably an advancement evolution to when they were throwing them for range. Then the slightly heavier ones, especially something like this, I think they were using these for spears as well. That makes a lot of sense. Not all Pilum were made to bend, historically, from what we could tell. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this episode. We had a good time doing it. We'll come back with some tests in the future, maybe with some two-handed techniques, which would be a little more controversial, that they might have used it two-handed, especially against cavalry. We can test that out as well and see how they fare. Be sure and like our video, subscribe to our channel, tell people about our videos and share them on posts and forums to see what people think about them, because we love opinions, we love hearing about it. I don't care if it's an argument or what, we love to hear what people have to say. It teaches us as much as we try to show other people. It's what we try to do. So anyway, be sure and go by our Facebook page and like us there at the Thrand Elgrim's Well of Remembrance. That's our like page. Also, Elgrim has a new page now. It's Lord Elgrim on YouTube. Be sure and go by there and subscribe to him and check it out. He does a lot of videos about stuff behind the scenes and subject matter that we normally wouldn't just post, because it's I mean, a lot of it is a discussion type thing, but it's very entertaining and very interesting. We find a lot of stuff about our history of our channel. I plan on being on there soon with him as well. Be sure and go by our Thrand YouTube boat crew on Facebook. That's a closed group. You can join there. We have lots of historians and all other types of artisans, and you can learn all kinds of things from them, or maybe you'd like to show your wares or things that you do, or share your knowledge with us. We'd love that. Also, if you want to help the channel, you can go to www.patreon.com/Thrand and do monthly donations if you'd like to donate to us there. Help us out at the channel. Also, if you want to donate stuff to us, you can get a hold of me at thanethrand@yahoo.com or thanethrand@gmail.com. But if you'd like to make a one-time donation, let's say a monetary donation, you can go by PayPal if you like and use the thanethrand@yahoo.com as the ID, because that is the PayPal ID as well if you'd like to donate there. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. We'll come back with more of this for sure, because I love the idea of using these as a weapon. It seems like it works. It makes total sense why it was designed that way, comparing it to the gladius and the way it was used. And farewell.